Hey, John. Hey, Chris. My
Oh,
name is
hi.
Justin. I'm from Geekcentric. How are you both doing?
Good. How's it
We
going?
are great.
I'm doing great. This show is fantastic. Just going to say that right
Thanks.
off the
Thank you.
bat. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Simpsons fan as well. So I
Yes.
got to ask,
Ah,
this project's working title was called Grammar Rodeo, if I'm not
that's
mistaken. I
Yeah.
don't know if
correct.
that, and obviously that's a nod to the famous Simpson episode, Bart on the Road. Now, was that just an inside joke, or does that in any way reflect some themes or ideas that might have influenced the tone and direction of this
No, it
series?
totally, it's like almost the same story. Like they end up in a car, like driving across trying to get
Yeah.
to the World's
Yeah.
Fair.
And spoiler alert, the kids crash the ship into a big tower and it knocks a bunch of wigs onto them.
Yeah, it's full of wigs.
Yeah. Well, even it's funny because in at Atten, there's a great cityscape shot. And at first I was like, oh, there's this tower that looks sort of like the CN Tower because I'm from Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, wait a minute. I recognize the ball at the top. I'm like, is that the sun sphere? Like,
It is.
Oh my
is
God.
that
It's a
some-
sunsphere.
Yeah.
It is.
It's full of wigs. We got to do a quick reshoot now.
But look, this series, like I said, it's fantastic. You know, you're following a younger group of characters. I wanted to know, in doing so, how did you guys kind of balance resonating with both a younger audience and longtime Star Wars fans?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about being 10, I never thought of myself as being a little kid when I was 10.
Right.
I was like,
Right.
I'm just as adult as everyone else here. So, when you take that perspective, we always thought like this isn't a show for kids, it's a grown-up show that just happens to star kids.
Hmm.
So, that perspective immediately gives you a new way of looking at the Star Wars galaxy, but I think as an entry point, if you don't know anything about Star Wars, you can watch it. But I think if you do know a lot about Star Wars, you can also watch this show and have a completely different perspective on it than the kids do. Like you're ahead of them in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
which I think will be fun to see that dynamic play out.
That makes sense too, and I think that you guys really like that first episode is pure magic. Like the way it just captures the whimsical adventure, and through the eyes of these kids, yearning for that adventure. It's very Luke in a lot of ways,
Yes.
wanting to see beyond the
Yeah.
world that they know.
Yeah. It's really focusing in on that moment where Luke wants more and he wants to go play with his friends and do what he wants to do. And
Yeah.
because it is younger, it's just even more
Yeah.
um, uh, attenuated.
Yeah, it's just such a universal feeling no matter where you grow up, I think.
Exactly. I think that's it. It's almost, again, like you said, John, it's looking at this galaxy through the eyes of these kids, which is so refreshing. And I think in a lot of ways, Star Wars is definitely, it's something that takes itself seriously at times. And I feel like this is doing a bit of both. It's taking itself seriously, but it's also having fun with the lore of of Star Wars
Yeah.
while playing with it.
Yeah. We wanted it to be fun. We wanted it to be a fun adventure. And
Yeah.
obviously that means it's going to eventually go to some scary places because the kids are going to get in over their heads.
Yeah, we wanted to always make sure that the danger and the stakes felt real so that
Yes.
it didn't feel like a kids show. Like these kids are going to get themselves into some serious trouble along the way.
It has the Goonies effect, right?
Yeah,
Like that
yes.
Goonies, it's the same sort of magic where it's the adventure, but there's real stakes that
Yeah.
that kind of get kids excited. But you guys had a crew of directors for this
Yeah.
project. You had David Lowery, Jake Schreier, the Daniels, Bryce Dallas Howard, Lee, Isaac Chung, Jon Watts. You directed the first and the last episode. With all of the different visions and approaches, like, how does that affect the storytelling? Was it easy to kind of band everyone together? And were directors selected for specific episodes?
Yeah, I mean, I had such a great experience working with Kevin Feige at Marvel, and I wanted to try to do the same thing that they did for me, which is, you have the script, you talk about the tone, you talk about the story that you're telling, and then you kind of get out of the director's way and let them go make
I
their
love that.
story. So, like, it was also just like really selfishly, as a director, you never get to watch other directors direct. So
Yes.
it was fun for me to just sort of hang
Hands
back
off.
and
Yeah.
just let them go and see where
Yeah.
they take it.
But the fact that we're kind of all the same age, all the whole directing
Yeah.
team, like we all got it, and
Yeah, everyone has the same
it
reference
wasn't
points.
hard. Like once people were on board with it, we could just let them do what
Yeah.
they needed to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, with the skeleton crew obviously contributing to the broader Star Wars legacy, are there hints about where this story could lead in future endeavors? Like, how would you like to see skeleton crew impact the legacy of Star Wars?
Well, I mean, we wanted to tell like a self-contained story that really has a beginning, middle, and end. But we do think there are some things that happen in our show that could potentially have pretty consequential repercussions throughout the galaxy.
And what was funny was when we first started working with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and the Lucasfilm team, I was unsure if we were allowed to have our story affect the legacy of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of scary to be on that side of it. And they said, that's what you got to do. That's part of the job. So
embrace it, right?
Exactly.
Have fun with it. This show is, again, it's a total delight. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but I'm hooked. It definitely has all the feelings that I feel reminiscent of, again, like you said, being 10 years old, watching these adventure films and wanting to get into it. Yet it's Star Wars, and it's so great. So thank you for taking the time to join us on the Geekcentric podcast. It really means a lot.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys.
See ya.
Bye.